Oh, hello there!
Virgil, what's up, brother?
You know that YouTuber named Ross? The unofficial official voice of Gordon Freeman.
Look, you have to reboot it. Where's the reset button? Is this it?
My God, what are you doing?
Well, that's not it.
Come on, Gordon. You trying to get me into trouble?
Okay, you can all go to hell if you're gonna act like that. See if I ever do anything nice for you again. Because I won't.
Yeah, you've heard of him. Ross is a cool guy. You wanna know why? Ross loves video games. And he hates it when big evil corporations kills games. More specifically, games that have online-only central servers. As a game enthusiast myself, I hate the fact that games die and are lost to time. When a game dies that requires an online-only connection to a centralized server, it becomes impossible to ever play that game again. This becomes a big no-no if you paid for the game. A company going out of its way to make sure you never play the game you paid for is immoral in my opinion. Ross also believes this, as he is the one that brought it to my attention. Now, it's not impossible to ever play these games again, as a dedicated fan base is able to reverse engineer the game from scratch. But this is illegal and will be shut down by the publisher if they find out. But it's completely okay for that very same publisher to take your money and shut down the game without ever letting you play it again. I repeat, a game you paid for can no longer be accessed. Does this sound like the business practices of any company out there you may have heard of? Huh?
EA Sports.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
As buyers and payers for goods and services from these companies, we hold all the power in the power of our dollar. Up until recently, I did not think I supported any of these companies. But then I got to thinking. I support Valve, the creators of Dota 2, Counter-Strike, and Team Fortress 2, my favorite video game. And I asked myself what would happen the day TF2 died, and what would happen to our items. Now let me get something straight. I do not think TF2 is a dead game, nor is it currently dying. TF2 is currently in the top 10 games played on Steam. It used to sit a lot higher, maybe in the top 5 a few years ago, but it is very much still a living and breathing game. Many developers would love to have a fan base as large as Team Fortress 2's. If you don't know what I mean by dead game, I will list a few off right now. Dead games such as Battlefield Heroes, Need for Speed Online, Warhammer Online, Lawbreakers, Nosgoth, just to name a few. I have personally spent money on Battlefield Heroes and Nosgoth, and now I can no longer use those purchases. Now it's not too hard to connect the dots here. I brought up TF2 and dead games. If you follow Ross at all, and you know how games die, you're gonna understand where I'm going. I previously mentioned games connected to an online-only centralized server cause the games to die. Now, at first glance, TF2 does not seem to have an online-only centralized server. TF2 does have servers, but they're only needed to play casual, MVM, or Valve's comp. When those servers go down, or if Valve was to choose to shut them down, you are still able to play TF2. You're still able to play on community maps, Capture the Flag, Payload, Saxton Hale, MVM, Surf, the list goes on. You are still able to play Team Fortress 2. But when TF2 servers go down, something else happens. The item servers go down. And for me, this is where the problem comes in. What happens when TF2 dies? Will people continue to play Team Fortress 2 even after Valve deletes their items from the item servers? Now, I'm sure I'm not the first TF2 YouTuber to even think of this idea or make a video on this idea. But since I don't really follow other TF2 YouTubers, as I'm very antisocial and have strong opinions and don't like people telling me what they think is the correct course of action for this game, wow, I sound like a complete jackass. Anyways, I'm making this video because I want to discuss with you, my subscribers, and anyone else who comes across this video, what they think will happen when Team Fortress 2 eventually dies. But I guess I need to reform the question. The original question is, what happens when Team Fortress 2 eventually dies? I need to reform the question to, what will Valve do when Team Fortress 2 eventually dies? Will they keep the servers up, or will they kill them? If Valve so chooses to kill Team Fortress 2's servers, I will lose thousands of dollars of items I have put into this game. Now, this dilemma poses plenty of questions that I do not have the answer to because I am not a psychic and I cannot see the future. What we will be doing is looking at both sides of the argument, why Valve should and shouldn't shut down the servers. Now, the first question obviously is, would Valve, as a company, shut down the Team Fortress 2 item servers? If they were to shut them down, they would effectively be stealing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from the Team Fortress 2 fan base in items. For those of you who think Valve is a moral company and this is out of the question for anything they'd ever do, I have a little story for you. The story of Turtle Rock Studio. Turtle Rock was working on an AI that changed the gameplay based on how well or bad the player was doing. Valve liked what they saw, hired Turtle Rock Studio to make Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Later on, Valve decided to keep the code and the rights to this AI and laid off all of Turtle Rock Studio's employees. Some may have stayed on at Valve. I do not know the internal workings of Valve. But the ones that were laid off got back together, reformed Turtle Rock Studio, and released a game called Evolve. And we all know how that turned out. Now, to ordinary folks like me and you, this is immoral. This is shady business practice that we should look down upon. It's the big fish eating the little fish. What this event shows is that Valve is a very smart company and uses proper business tactics and practices to make sure they meet the bottom line. The bottom line being profit. In defense of Valve, it is not profitable to have two game developing companies. So, it was well within their rights to lay off one of the companies, that being Turtle Rock Studio, which they absorbed. I mean, this is also the reason why we're never going to see, Left 4 Dead 3 or Half-Life 3 or Team Fortress 3. Just So, after this incident, is it out of the question that Valve would shut down TF2's item servers if it was no longer profitable? Of course it's not. They're a business. The bottom line is all that matters. They need to do what is best for their company. But again, would Valve? It's not very hard for a business to keep servers up, especially one as profitable as Valve. With just Steam alone, Valve could probably keep the TF2 item servers up. But Valve doesn't just own Steam. They own Dota, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress 2, and now Artifact. I said I wanted to stay objectively neutral, and well, I've done a shitty job of that. So again, here's my opinion. It would not be morally right for Valve to shut down the TF2 item servers. That is my opinion, and I will stick to it till the day I die. But it is entirely within Valve's right to do this. When you first download Steam, you sign a user license agreement. This agreement exempts Valve, and therefore Steam, from being obligated to give you a refund or continue to access any game they have provided you on their platform. Tomorrow, if Gabe Newell wanted or wished, he could shut down Steam and run to a private island to sip martinis till the end of time. And it is entirely within his right because of that user license agreement. EA And other companies have done this for countless years, with EA's yearly releases of Madden, FIFA, NHL, and NBA, along with all the subsequent releases of Call of Duty and Battlefield, and up till recently, Far Cry. Now, that being said, Valve is actually pretty good when it comes to this regard, as Valve, and therefore Steam, allows you to refund games, and when a product gets removed off of Steam, it allows you to keep it in your library. Even though the user license agreement doesn't say they have to. So here we are, with two different versions of the same company. Valve being a major dick to Turtle Rock Studios, and being well within their rights to do so as a company, and Valve choosing to give refunds and allowing you to keep games removed off Steam in your library, even though they are not obliged to do so. And it all comes back down to that very question. Speculation, yet very scary in its reality. Would Valve, as a company, shut down TF2's item servers if it was no longer profitable? I honestly don't know. Valve doesn't need to give you refunds, but they do. Valve didn't need to be a dick to, Turtle Rock Studio, yet they were. I just don't know. Let's brainstorm on some speculation here. First option, Valve shuts down item servers. I lose hundreds of dollars in items. The end of story. I become worried because what's next? My Steam library? Am I going to lose the hundreds of dollars I spent on all those games? Second option, Valve shuts down the item servers, but they make it client-side. Making it client-side means that the items are on your computer, on your hard drive. If Valve does this, then people are able to hack, giving themselves 20 golden pans, 20 golden wrenches, effectively making the point of having items in the first place purposeless. There's no point. Third option, probably the most likely one, probably has already been implemented, I don't know. Just move TF2's item servers over to the Steam item servers. I mean, we already trade through, Steam. They got rid of the ability to trade through Team Fortress 2. You see, and now thinking about it, I feel like an idiot. Because the TF2 items already exist on Steam. In fact, it was the Team Fortress 2 items in the first place that spawned the Steam market, that spawned Steam's item, backpacks. It was Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 spawned all of this. There is a disconnect here. You could not be connected to the item servers, not being able to use your hats, your weapons, your cosmetics, but you could still be connected to a TF2 server, a Valve server, a Steam server. You could still be playing casual. Other people could still join in and kill you, build teleporters. They just aren't connected to their items. So there is a disconnect there. What I'm not sure about is if the TF2 items, or the item server, is connected to the Dota 2 item server, or the CSGO item server, or any other game that has items. Are they all the same server? Are they all Steam servers? I don't think so. Because when Dota goes down, when their item servers are down, TF2's item servers might still be up. So it's not a collective server of Steam. It's not Steam's collective server. At least that's just my speculation or opinion. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I personally, if you ask me, TF2 has its own TF2 item servers. Dota has its own item server. Counter-Strike. They're not connected under Steam. What I am suggesting is that if Valve was to shut down TF2's item servers, they move those items onto your Steam backpack, or just make a separate tab and use the Steam servers, the same servers that tracks your cards, the games in your library, and the badges and everything else that's in your Steam backpack. They use that instead of the Team Fortress 2 item server, if that makes any sense. Now, in all honesty, This is just a hypothesis. This is just a theory. I have no idea what Valve will do. They could shut them down and we lose all our items. They could do what I suggested, or they could not. They could come up with a different solution. Team Fortress 2 in the next few years might not die. Eventually, everything that has a beginning has an end, and TF2 will end up dying. Now, even though Team Fortress 2 is dead, this doesn't mean Steam is, because I'm sure we can all agree Steam will be around a lot longer than Team Fortress 2 will. Or maybe their lifespans are connected, I don't know. But the point is, newer games are going to come out. It's going to steal population from Team Fortress 2. But Steam will always be there to deliver those games, those new games that people want to play. So while TF2's lifespan is connected directly to Steam, Steam's lifespan is not connected directly to Team Fortress 2. Though it has a lot of thanks to give Team Fortress 2, like community markets and item servers. So back to the point. Moving TF2 items to Steam, because Steam will last probably the next 100 years, is the way to go. And how we can test this hypothesis is by looking at Valve's failed game, Artifact. As of today, Artifact has less than 2,000 players. In fact, last time I checked, it had 1,700. By watching what Valve does with this truly dying game, we can then assume they would do the same thing to Team Fortress 2 once it reaches that point. Artifact is currently the lowest played Valve title with microtransactions and items you can virtually own. If Valve moves over the Artifact cards from Artifact's item servers to Steam, will show us what Valve might do with Team Fortress 2 once it reaches that point. But obviously, this is just my own speculation, my own opinion. So let me hear yours in the comment section. If Valve keeps Artifact servers alive when it only has 0 players, then we can assume Valve would do the same for Team Fortress 2. But in the next few years, if Valve kills Artifact and its servers, then we'll have our answer.